Hey, what's going on, Bill?
Hi, what's going on, Silver Dragons?
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And we're doing another episode of Bill's Picks. And you recently went to the F.U.N show in Florida, correct?
Yeah, we did. Got all kinds of fun stuff from the F.U.N show. Yeah, for the picks, I mainly did medieval and ancient type stuff. There's a couple modern pieces, but as a history guy, I wanted to pick out some things that would be interesting to the people, things that are interesting to me. A little bit more than usual, so I don't know how long you have today, but...
Well, we got some time, and so most of this you got down there. Which piece would you like to start with?
We could start with, this is a Roman Republican denarius. A lot of people are familiar with the Roman Empire.
Sure.
Beginning with Julius Caesar, but not as many people are familiar with the Republican coinage from before they had emperors, when it was a smaller state, so to speak.
So this is a pretty old coin.
This is a very old coin. Yeah, this is a denarius from around 120 BC.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so you have the head of Roma, so that's sort of the personification, female personification of Rome, like their patron deity there. And then on the reverse you have, again, allegorical victory.
Yeah, that is a really cool piece right there. And they definitely have some letters on there, but I know that's not English.
Yeah, that's a Latin abbreviation there. We have a half-groat, or 2 pence, from the Commonwealth of Oliver Cromwell, when he was Lord Protector of England during this 11-year span after the deicide of Charles I. The Protestant forces within England had become fed up with having a Catholic monarch and removed his head. And so for a brief period, they were not a monarchy, they were a commonwealth. And this is the coinage that was issued. It's a very thin, hammered issue, as is the penny and the halfpenny and the other denominations during that time. And it has a low survivability because the following monarchs melted most of it down.
Oh, they didn't like the independence, huh?
Yeah.
All right, that's a cool one.
This is a silver medal from Germany. It commemorates Otto Vagan. He was a commander of U-Boat 9, and he sunk 4 British cruisers in 1914. This is when submarine warfare was still relatively new, and he was awarded the highest military honors in Germany, and he died the following year when his U-boat was rammed by the HMS Dreadnought.
Oh, no.
And split in half.
They got him, huh?
They got him, but he got 4 of theirs first, plus some merchant marine. But yeah, it's just a scarce commemorative medal, and it shows his famous sinking of one of the cruisers there.
That is cool. So that's made out of silver, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some nice toning on it as well.
The next one is the oldest coin in the tray. There's no particular order to these, but the next one is from the Isle of Lesbos, an ancient Greek colony, at least as we understand it, before it was taken over by the Persian Empire. Not long after this coin was struck. Here on the obverse we have a boar's head, and then there's just a sort of a minter's mark.
So this one here is like around 500 BC.
That's correct, yeah.
That is an old coin.
So that's among the oldest generation of coins that we know of.
Wow. Well, that would be a cool one to have in your collection, because you could kind of brag like, hey, I bet I got a coin older than yours.
Yeah. Older than Alexander, older than most of ancient coins that people collect. So the next piece we have is from the Kingdom of Hawaii. This is the last king of Hawaii before it became fully a U.S. territory. 1883, 10 cents. It's in excellent condition. It's denominated as 1 dime. Of course, their main trading partner by this point was the United States. They had made the concession for us to trade through Pearl Harbor. And so it's basically the same specifications as a U.S. dime. It's a 1-year type, and this was the last sovereign money of Hawaii before it became, again, like a fully U.S. territory.
So for a very brief period of time, there actually was a king in America. I mean, kind of, right? Because there was a king in Hawaii and they became part of America.
Yeah, you could say that.
So he was on this silver dime, and I'm assuming he was probably on a few other coins as well.
Right, the dollar, the half dollar. There's about 5 or 6 coins in that typeset.
Nice.
All right, the next piece is one of my favorites. This is one of the only coins you're going to find of Richard the Lionhart, the famous crusader, the famous king of England. And what's interesting about it is it's not an English coin. There are no English coins of Richard the Lionheart. He was gone on crusade for most of his reign. And this is what's called, they call it Anglo-Gaelic, basically an English sovereignty over Aquitaine in southern France, which he had through his mother, Eleanor, who ruled in his stead while he was gone on campaign as well.
Let's take a look at the other side. Wow, look at that. That is a really interesting coin. Is this one hammered as well?
No, it's hammered silver. It's a very typical medieval denier, but it's under Richard the Lionheart, which makes it quite interesting. Of course, he went down through Cyprus, or through Sicily to Cyprus, over into Acre and Israel area, was captured in Austria on his way back, and they had to pay a massive ransom for his release.
Should we take a look at this gold coin over here?
Yeah, so this is a 1918 Bombay Mint gold sovereign. You see George V there, like you would most other sovereigns, and St. George and the Dragon, like other sovereigns of this time period around the British Empire. But what makes this one special is that this is the only year that they were minted in Bombay, in the British colony of India. So only in 1918, there's about 1.2 million sovereigns minted at the Bombay Mint.
Wow.
And of course, there was much more minted in England, some in Australia and South Africa. India only had the 1 year.
And where on the coin is the mint mark? Like, how would we know this one's from India?
It's in the same spot that other sovereign mint marks are. It's in the raised ground, right there above the date.
So between the 9 and the 1, right above it?
Right.
There's that little I. So
yes.
Is that for India, or?
Yes, it's interesting. The Bombay Mint normally just had a dot or a B. They used the I in this case.
And so are these worth more than regular sovereigns? This is like a collectible type?
They're worth marginally more. So for sovereigns go, a 1 million mintage date is slightly better.
Yeah.
They were a mass-produced coin, of course, but some dates are better than others. So this is a threepence of Elizabeth I. Speaking of English monarchs. And yeah, it's just an English threepence of Elizabeth. This is the time of Shakespeare, the days leading up to King James. The F.U.N mint mark, that's a type of arrowhead.
I got to be honest with you, Bill. I think they kind of did her dirty in the portrait a little bit. I mean, just look at the face. To me, is like, I don't know, she looks like a ghost or something. I don't know.
Well, sometimes in these English hammered issues, the portrait is not very good. Sometimes even on the best struck ones, the portrait is not fully clear.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the way they were minted. They were minted for day-to-day business. They weren't really considered to be works of art.
Yeah, and now people collect them. I mean, now they are art.
Sure, they have great historic significance, and in a lot of cases they didn't have great survival rates, because a lot of people, in the 1700s or 1800s might look at that and say, well, that's melter silver.
So we don't exactly know how many are left.
Right. The survival rate is obviously mainly among collectors, and possibly however many in the ground in England still.
Yeah. So if you're metal detecting over there, it's possible you could pull one out.
People find stuff from even like pre-Roman times, metal detecting in England. It's a very different world for the metal detectorists there.
I believe it.
We talked about Richard the Lionheart. Here is roughly one of his contemporaries. From the Latin Kingdom in Jerusalem. This is a Crusader Daer issued there in Jerusalem. Well, of course, on this side it has the cross, like many medieval coins would. Mm-hmm. On this side it has the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and you see kind of like rays descending from above down on it.
Yeah.
So, such as it is, it's they're trying to portray that. Their die cutting technology wasn't as good as we have today, and they couldn't get the die pressures that we can get today with striking by hand. So these are the sort of devices that you're left with, just very simple portrayals that are more symbolic than realistic.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a curtain or something to me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that they actually attempted it, though. I mean, with the technology they had.
Yeah, they wanted to emphasize, their piety as crusaders, and they're there for a particular mission. They're not just there, as any other campaign.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Next, speaking of Jerusalem, we have Titus the Destroyer. As a Roman general, he is the one who destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, as Christ had predicted in the Gospels, and by many people's interpretation. Many Old Testament prophets have predicted it as well. Partly because of those actions, and for other reasons, he became the emperor after that. And so this coin is, of course, issued 9 to 10 years after that. And it was actually issued in Philadelphia, Greece.
I think, honestly, like even this portrait to me looks a little bit better than the one over here. Like, they actually did pretty good job for Titus. I mean, he looks strong anyway, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that speaks to the sort of degradation in the arts and the availability of the metals, that a lot of ancient coins were better artistically and in terms of metal content than most late Roman and Dark Age coins. So this is an interesting one. This is a 2 reales from Spain, which at first glance, you might say, well, it's just another 2 reales. This is actually from Louis the First. You say, well, King Louis of Spain. I've heard of King Louis of France. What's going on here? Well, he was only king for 7 months. He was the great-grandson of Louis XIV, the Sun King. He was in line for the Spanish throne, but shortly after taking the throne, he got smallpox and died.
Oh, wow.
So coins for him were only issued in the date 1724.
So this has got to be somewhat rare anyway.
It's somewhat of a rarity in that sense. It's not an expensive coin by any means. All right, yeah, here is one of Constantine, very famous Roman emperor, of course. On the reverse, you see the mint mark is Londinium. And so what's interesting about this is the Emperor Constantine piece was mostly known as a Eastern emperor, because his namesake Constantinople, right, became the seat of the Eastern Empire. But this coin was actually struck in London, England. So it does make it scarcer than some of the more Mediterranean issues that would have been slightly more common.
Is this one of the ones that you picked up at the F.U.N show?
I did, yeah. You can see also has the pedigree of having gone through C&G at one point. So you can still look up the auction record for that if you so choose. Another one is Caracalla. I always find his coins interesting because he's the one that extended citizenship to all the adult males in the Roman Empire, not just particular classes of people. This one is from Antioch, Syria, which also was a major seat of the early church.
Yeah, so this is, let's see, Roman Empire. And let's see if we can get a good look at this guy's face. I'm trying to compare him, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one seems all right. Take a look at the other side. SC. It's got a big SC on it.
So that was with the consult of the Senate. So that's basically saying that this is a Roman Senate authorized issue.
Yeah. I guess also if someone's initials were SC, maybe this would be a slightly cooler coin to them, huh?
I guess so.
If it was SD, then it could be like Silver Dragons,
there
right?
You go.
No, that's very cool. All right, we got one left, huh?
Last one, Hadrian, one of the so-called good emperors. I really like the strike on this one. It's very clear and bold. He's most famous, of course, for Hadrian's Wall, among other things, infrastructure projects and the like. On the reverse, you have Eternatus, which is where we get our word for eternity. She was the Roman goddess of eternity, also maybe allegorically representing the eternal nature of the Roman Empire as they saw it.
So they got his face on one side, and then they got
Eternatus on the reverse,
Yeah.
as is typical to have the emperor's portrait on the obverse and some sort of Roman deity on the reverse, or other type of allegory.
Yeah, I would say of all the ones we've seen, this portrait to me looks not only the most clear, but also is probably one of the best.
Yeah, this is from maybe one of the high points in the Roman Empire. You can see that the silver is very silver looking. It's not debased. It's not Bullion.
Yeah.
And the strike is very good. Those 5 good emperors, Trajan and Hadrian and the others, are probably about the high point of Roman coinage.
Yeah, and also one more thing I've been wanting to ask you, Bill, is sort of why do people collect stuff like this? I mean, these coins are different than your typical U.S. coins that a lot of us collect. So kind of what's the reason for that?
Well, I think, the world's a big place and people have a lot of varied interests. Some people have more specialized interests than others, or maybe they've just read things or studied things that allow them to view these type of items with a greater significance. I mean, most of us were born and raised in America, and we're taught about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, and so we see them on the coins. and that has significance to us, and so we collect them. But someone who's maybe read some ancient history or read the Bible or studied different events, maybe these coins speak to them in that way. It's also a more global way to invest in coins. I mean, U.S. coins are mainly collected in one country. Something like the Emperor Titus or a Crusader Daer or something like this is potentially collected the world over, as like people anywhere can understand the significance of that. But it does tend to be a more niche collector that's buying Emperor Hadrian than a Washington quarter. But I think if someone thinks about it for much time, they can see the significance of something like that you're able to hold a 2,000-year-old item like that.
Yeah, I like this stuff. And honestly, it is cool to learn about all of the history. And this is stuff that you can show your kids and you can kind of teach them history and stuff from the coins.
Yeah, it's a nexus to that conversation. And what's interesting about coins is coins being money, it's something that most people never throw away. And so compared to, say, a vase or a fork or something like this from past civilizations, it's something that people hoard and keep. And so they're not just all up in museums or in an archaeologist place somewhere. There's enough of them to be dispersed through the population, and we can all be kind of our own museum curator of the ancient world. You might not be able to afford a breastplate from the ancient Greek army or something like this that's only in a museum somewhere, but you can have a denarius.
Yeah, that is very true. And hey, Bill, I always appreciate you showing us new coins. And we do have a whole list of other videos with Bill's picks, and we'll put that down below in the description. So feel free to check out those videos if you want to watch some more and learn about some more coins.
Yeah, thanks, Silver Dragons. Always a pleasure.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.